In this video, I'll be discussing the history of Falernum, and in particular, John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum. Plus, Shen and I will demonstrate two classic Falernum cocktails, a corn and oil and a Chartreuse Swizzle. We are Tequila Tavern Hospitality, educating minds and palates on wine, spirit, and food. Falernum is a syrup that originated in Barbados, or at least most spirit experts believe that it was from Barbados. Now, Barbadian families have been making Falernum for many generations, going back probably hundreds of years, but the first commercial product was John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum that came around in 1890. Now, there are both alcoholic and non-alcoholic versions of Falernum. The alcoholic versions are made with rum, but either way, Falernum is known for its incredible bouquet of cloves, almond, ginger, lime, and sugar. When you put all those together, that is truly like a one-bottle tiki bar. It's just wonderful, which is why it is a staple for every tiki bar and really should be a staple in your home bar. We can't talk about John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum and what it means to tiki cocktails without at least mentioning the Birth of Tiki. And to do that, we have to talk about Ernest Raymond Beaumont Gant. And Ernest, in 1933, opened up a 24-seat bar in Hollywood. And when you walked out, or walked up to the bar, on the outside, there was a driftwood sign that said, Don's Beachcomber. Now, at the time in Hollywood, there were already tropical bars that you could go to, but really these were over-the-top elegant places. They had big bands playing, and people were dressed to the nines. I mean, really like very much what you see in like Hollywood old movies. And Don's Beachcomber Cafe was not that. And really what it separated itself more than anything was the cocktails. The ingredients that were being used that hadn't been used before in cocktails, and then also the presentation. Things being served in a coconut, or being served in a tiki glass, and these just elaborate garnishes with fresh herbs, things like, grated nutmeg. I mean, just what a wonderful thing he did, and it grew from there. The tiki culture exploded because of his vision. So we have to give him a little bit of love right now while we're talking about a classic tiki ingredient like John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum. One last note about Ernest. He actually legally changed his name to Don Beach. So how cool is that? After Don's Beachcomber Cafe opened in 1933, for the next 3 decades, life was great for Polynesian pop restaurants and bars and tiki bars until really the late 60s and 70s. And there's a myriad of reasons why there was a decline in tiki bars. One major reason was the Vietnam War. As you can imagine, families weren't so keen to go eat and drink at Polynesian pop places when they were sending their loved ones off to war the very next day to go fight in Vietnam. So with those establishments closing in the 60s and 70s, products like John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum went to the wayside, and importers weren't willing to bring them in because there was no longer a demand. Now, all of this changed really in the late 90s and early 2000s with the emergence of the craft cocktail scene in places like New York and LA. And because of that, those bartenders and establishments were seeking out this product known as Falernum that people couldn't get their hands on, but they wanted to recreate these amazing tiki drinks that they've all read about. And, luckily for us, they did. Now we get to talk about the star of the show, John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum. Now, John D. Taylor himself claims that he invented Falernum in 1890, but it's more likely that he just commercialized the product before anyone else. As we said, families have been making this for many generations on Barbados, but still, he deserves a lot of credit because to this day, Velvet Falernum is the gold standard of all Falernums. And we talked about how the tiki decline happened and the US wasn't receiving imports of falernum. And it wasn't until the turn of the century when famed bartender and author Dale DeGroff had come across Velvet Falernum and sought it out. And it actually went through one really bad importer first, that I won't get into, before it fell into the hands of famed importer Eric Seed of Haas Alpens. And Eric brought it in around 2009, and he put this product in the hands of amazing bartenders and establishments around the country. And it really took off from there because people were familiar with the older recipes and were finally able to taste how incredible this product is and use it in all of those famed recipes by, Don Beach and others. And we owe Eric so much for bringing this product, because if he hadn't, we wouldn't be here talking about it today. Let's make a corn and oil. Now, there's no consensus on who created this drink, but it is thought of as a traditional Barbados cocktail. Because there's no consensus on who created it, there's also a lot of different variations on the recipe, and we're going to be following Smuggler's Cove recipe, which we got from this outstanding book, Smuggler's Cove. This is not only a wonderful resource for cocktail recipes and tiki recipes, but really just all things rum. Smuggler's Cove is not only one of the best bars in America, but definitely one of the best tiki bars in America. So we're going to follow their genius and roll with their recipe, which is 1/2 ounce of John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum, 2 ounces of rum, and Martin Kate of Smuggler's Cove says, please, please, please use a Barbados rum for this, since it is a traditional Barbados drink, which we're doing using Kenichi. And then there are anywhere from 2 to 4 dashes of Angostura bitters. We're going to go on the high side, being 4 dashes, just because we love what it brings to the table with the flavors. And Angostura is also from Trinidad and Tobago, so this really is a nice Caribbean drink with 2 Barbados ingredients and then 1 Trinidad and Tobago. You make this drink in the glass, so let's begin. We have our 1/2 ounce of John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum. We have our 2 ounces of rum. Again, please use Barbados rum. Then we have our 4 dashes of Angostura bitters. Now we're going to put about 3/4 of the glass full of ice. Of course, the ice is sticking. Once you get about there, go ahead and give it a stir. Just like you were stirring a cocktail, but we're just doing it in the glass. So about 20 seconds to get it nice and chilled and a little bit diluted. Once we get it to that point, then we can just top off with the rest of the ice until the glass is full. And there you have it. That is a corn and oil, courtesy of Smuggler's Cove and courtesy of us, Tiquitabi.
Let's make a Chartreuse Swizzle. This drink was created by Marco Valdo Dionysus in 2002 for a cocktail competition. It was actually sponsored by Chartreuse, however, he won the whole thing. Now it's more of a modern classic, and you'll find it in tiki bars, of course, but really anywhere that serves Green Chartreuse and Velvet Falernum, which, let's be honest, should be everywhere. So let's get into it. We have 1/2 ounce of our Velvet Falernum, which brings in flavors of almond, clove, ginger, lime, and some sweetness too. We have our Green Chartreuse, which is courtesy of some French monks back in the 1500s and brings in 130 different flavors from herbs and flowers. And then along with that, we have 1 ounce of pineapple juice, 3/4 ounce of lime, and then some fresh nutmeg and mint from the garden on top. So, start with our Velvet Falernum, and you can just pour this straight into your Collins glass. Got our 1.5 ounces of Green Chartreuse, 1 ounce of pineapple juice, 3/4 ounce of freshly squeezed lime. Definitely want it to be fresh. Then you're gonna fill your Collins glass about 3/4 with ice. You want enough room for a good swizzle. And get your stirring spoon out. Just gonna swizzle that for a bit. Make sure you get it just, diluted, chilled, but you're gonna leave that ice in there, so that's probably good. Then I'm gonna top that off. And then grate a little bit of nutmeg on top. Just brings out so many beautiful of those other flavors. And yeah, who doesn't love a good tiki drink? Got our mint. Add some aromatics. Oh wait, need to give it a slap. Really bring out those aromatics. And then stick in your straw. And there you have it. Your Chartreuse Swizzle, courtesy of Shen here at Tiki Tavern.
We hope you enjoyed learning about Falernum, and in particular, John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum. If you'd like to learn more, please head to our website, tiquitavern.com, where we have a full article on this incredible product. While you're there, feel free to explore around. We have plenty of other amazing articles about different wines and spirits, plenty of things that you can learn about while you're on tiquitavern.com. If you like this video, please subscribe here. If you'd like to see another video just like this, click here.